Hi guys, Chris Bristow from Big Rig 150 Automotive News. I want to talk about a topic that I saw in MOTORTREND. I do read MOTORTREND monthly. I will go through the magazine on a daily basis, read articles, and see what I truly like and what I think I can put into words. Coming across the May 2019 edition, there was a article called High Voltage from Jonny Liberman. And what he's talking about is the Camaro eCOPO. Okay? Just so you know what COPO is, that's a Central Office Production Order. Basically, it's their prototypes that's going to be used for production. And they have this is an electric model. So what this is, and this is one of those really cool things that I like, and just what happens is General Motors, it's not Ford, but hey, this is a step in the right direction. And what I mean by that is this vehicle has an LS transmission, or I'm sorry, has a transmission that can handle an LS motor, which is their race motor. Now, this motor is basically two electric motors stacked on top of each other to give you more horsepower. This concept car is putting out over 700 horsepower, which is a lot. Sorry I keep looking down, but there's just a lot of information I'm trying to get from here, so please bear with me. And each of these motors also produces 317 foot-pounds of torque. Now, horsepower is great, but what you're looking at is the torque, especially on a race car, on a drag car. Torque is what gives you the power to go. That's your movement. Electric cars generally have more torque than your natural aspirated cars or cars with turbos, especially the initial. So you can actually have some of these Teslas and now this Camaro that can really make make race day interesting at your local track. Now, I'm going to have in the end of the video two pictures. One's going to show how the motors are stacked, and the other is the picture of the car. Now, I get this article, like I said, from Jonny Liberman from MOTORTREND. They were out at this racetrack filming an episode of Head to Head, which is one of their more popular series, which I've actually watched a few times. And this was actually back in January 26th at the Arizona's Wild Horse Pass drag strip. Now, I've seen that same drag strip on Street Outlaws, so I kind of knew where it was, and I know that drag strip. It's an older drag strip, but nice warm weather. That's where this car is going to be able to do some great passes. Now, this car went down the track a couple times. Now, with these electric motors, all you got to worry about is a charge. But the more charge you have, the faster the car. So if your batteries are depleted under 100%, when you go for your pass, you're going to lose a lot of your power. So, how do you charge them? And that's where they're starting to come up with these ideas of different ways of charging these cars. There's another article in MOTORTREND that I definitely plan on getting to later this week or next week, actually, about making an electric car charging a lot faster. But the impressive thing, the truly impressive thing about this was this Camaro, this electric Camaro, did a sub 10 in a quarter mile. It did 9.837. That is fast. Now, you're thinking, oh, well, that's not that fast. Most of your production cars are about 9 seconds, and that's naturally aspirated. And that's a little tongue-in-cheek. But you're looking at a car that is doing roughly 140 miles an hour. So, and that's on, I believe, a quarter mile track. I don't know if it's quarter mile or half mile that these numbers were, but if I remember correctly, it is a quarter mile track, which is what most drag strips are. So that's very fast for a car that has a wheelie bar, has chutes, and is playing with the big boys. Is playing with cars that that you see going down a drag strip. So it's not that it's not stock. It's just a lot faster than some of these Mustangs, Camaros. Well, maybe not the Vet, but your domestic cars, your domestic sports cars. I'll put it like that. You get into the Skylines and all this stuff. That's a totally different beast, and you can really soup them up. But this is also a souped up electric car. It does have a full roll cage. It does have the netting to protect the guy from being ejected. It is a race car. There is all the safety features. Now, this Dream Child was actually at SEMA, and it was a collaboration between General Motors, Patrick McHugh, and Lane Racing. The funny thing about this is Patrick McHugh is a high school shop teacher in Washington State. You got a gentleman that is a high school shop teacher that is fiddling with an electric car. I think it's great. You're not just giving it to the engineers at Chevy, at Ford. You're actually partnering with people that racing is their life. Racing is everything to them. And trying to find a way to make these cars go faster. The faster, the better. Because that's, in order to get electric cars more mainstream, you have to show what these cars can do at the track. You have to show that it can be a sub 10-second car. The downside is, what's the battery hold? That's the other portion of this. How long does it take to charge? Those are all questions that need to be answered. There's a lot more information, and I've always said you will never see electric cars until they find a way to make it so that NASCAR, the NHRA, Indy, Formula One has electric cars. That is a way to do electric cars at a high speed. If you're able to do a NASCAR series where you can do a zero emissions race, but still have 200 miles an hour at Daytona with a draft, the most purest of racing for NASCAR, that will be the accomplishment. There's an old saying, whoever's first on race day is usually busy on Monday, because all eyes are on the Chevy, on the Ford, or back in the day, Pontiac, some of the other manufacturers that have been there. Toyota's now in it. Dodge was in it. But when they saw that, sales went up that week. Dale Earnhardt, one of the greatest racers of all time, he would be in the top. A lot of people that drive Chevys because of Dale Earnhardt and his son Dale Jr. Your Fords, it's not a lot of guys that had Ford. My favorite, Davey Allison. Him and Earnhardt were always neck and neck. But this is how you're going to get people to buy in onto electric cars. I think this is a great first step. This is the way we need to have it go. And I pray that Ford, Fiat, Hyundai, Honda all get in on this and start really taking these drag cars serious. Because more people are going to have their eyes on this, the better. And I do recommend picking up the May issue of Motor Trend and reading this article, High Voltage. It's a great little, about a half-page read, and it was interesting to me. I'm hoping to have the next video tomorrow be on either the charging that's they're looking at, or maybe on something else from the backlog file. This is Chris from Big Rig 150 Automotive News. Have a great day, guys.